everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is July the 6th, 2019. Strong hand, unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. We're going to talk about that. Deferral of gratification, conviction, avoid mediocrity. Fitting in is overrated. All right, dudes, I want everyone to go to techbalt.com. Check out This Week in Bitcoin from this Friday. We had a wild, wacky show. I know so many of you are on vacation. Come back, watch the darn show. Juan Galt was on. Phil Geiger, Geiger, that's how you pronounce his last name. He's on. He's in motion. Chris Black was on. He was very controversial. Check it out. It was on Friday. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. Everything I talk about in his video is linked below. This is another new shirt from lightninghood.com. They are linked to below also. And if you're watching this live, type in Bitcoin Meister in the chat. I will see your question and I will answer your question, especially if it pertains to beyond Bitcoin type of subjects, because today is the Beyond Bitcoin Show. We talk about subjects that go way beyond Bitcoin. I'll try to tie Bitcoin into all of this. Okay, you guys all know what this is all about, your regulars at least. So the great economic invincibility, he has a video out. Well, he's pretty good. I don't agree with him all the time. He's got a video out there. And wait, before I talk about him, I want to talk about another content creator. I can't say the guy's name. MGTOW Money is his name. Yeah, he is pretty awesome. But in this video, he gets one thing right and one thing wrong. He points out that 1 out of 3 people you meet will hate you. And yeah, there's a lot of envy in this world. There's a lot of jealousy in this world. And there's just a lot of bitter people in this world. Some people hate every single person they meet. Thus, when you meet them, they will hate you. And a lot of people get down when they encounter people who hate them. They think less of themselves because someone is hating on them, someone is envious of them, someone is ripping on them. But the positive that you can take away from this is that you build up your strength, your inner strength, and you don't give a darn about the haters. That is, you realize, yeah, a lot of people are going to hate me. So what? You keep moving on, moving on, moving on. You let people leave all sorts of nasty comments in your comment section like you do. You let it roll off of you. The trolls, you let it roll off of you. The real life trolls, the people who want to bring you down, you do not let those people take control of them. You don't give, I'm not going to say the term that he used. You don't give a darn about them, is what he said to do. Now, and I think that is, I wanted to mention that first because it's just a huge takeaway in life. There's so many people out there just want to bring you down. And if you can just ignore them all and be a big boy, because this is where the big boys play, you will be very successful. All right. Or you will be able to be in incredible motion. But, something else that he says in this same video is he says that you should buy silver because there's no downside in buying silver. And he does mention cryptocurrency in this video, but you can't always be right, dude. So he's got great advice. He's got great advice at first, and then he's got some the silver thing, disagree with totally. But you just don't ignore a person because they say something that you don't agree with. You don't just say, "Oh my God, I'm not going to listen to a word of what this guy says. I'm turning off the show right now." People did that with my This Week in Bitcoin show, by the way. They're like, "Why is this altcoin guy on? I'm turning it off." Well, then you would have missed all the other stuff that Phil brought up, that Juan brought up. So again, the man who made this video, he talks about silver. I could have said, I'm not listening to a word he's talking about, but then he brings up a great point about how you got to ignore the haters. All right. Pound that like button, you July 6th freaks here, midnight on the East Coast. We're approaching. I guess it won't be July 6th anymore here in beautiful Baltimore. Now this is from Economic Invincibility, this video that I just almost totally skipped because I'm moving so fast here. It's a great, he mentions Vention in this video. He mentions the great Vention. He talks about MGTOWs again. And the basic point that I get out of this, are you able to have self-respect? don't worry about fitting in, and don't worry about what other people have to say about you. I mean, do you like yourself? Do you feel comfortable with yourself? Are you able to have self-respect? But there's a lot of people that, they say, well, I'm going my own way. I'm going on my way. I'm going to do it this way. I don't have to get married. And then their friends say, well, why aren't you getting married? Or why aren't you dating her? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And then they feel bad about themselves. They have no respect for themselves. They give into the peer pressure, and then they do something they don't want to do. So that's really going your own way. Do you have self-respect? If you have self-respect, you can go your own way. You don't care about fitting in. You don't have to own the big house. You can just do whatever you want to do. Are you able to have self-respect? It all boils down to that. Watch that video. I think you'll catch my drift, and you'll catch economic incivility's drift. He also has a video called How Anonymity, I cannot pronounce that word, anonymity breeds delusion on the web. He's absolutely right about this. People think they're anonymous on the web, and because they don't put up their picture. Like me, obviously, I know I'm not anonymous. I don't. No need for me to be anonymous. I'm proud of who I am. I have self-respect. I'm able to take the heat. I'm able to take the hits. I let the trolls post what they want, and say what you're going to say. Be a big boy. Be in motion. You can complain. That's great. But some of these dudes, they get this inflated ego. And they think they can say anything. They think they can do anything because no one knows who they are. And they just say the most outlandish, challenge people for fights. They think there's going to be a revolution. And then they start believing these things because they're anonymous, because they're spouting up all this nonsense. They start believing their own thing, and they think it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the whole world's going to fall apart. There's going to be this revolution. I'm going to join the revolution. I'm going to get back at all those people who brought me down. It's delusional. So he being anonymous at times can lead to delusions. I don't think it's, to a certain point. I mean, if you're just anonymous and you're trying to learn, that is great. If you're anonymous and you're trying to be the big internet tough guy, I mean, you're going down a path of not being in motion. I will tell you that, and you're going to be delusional. Moving on, strong-handers. Watch the video, though. It's good. He's got some good ones out there. Politico. Okay, there's two Kamala Harris stories. Again, we talk a little bit of politics here. Don't waste your time on politics. I don't waste my time on politics. I just, heard about these stories, and it goes into something that I used to deal with a lot, which is real estate and real estate in African-American communities, actually. I know quite a bit about that because I owned real estate. I lived in in Reservoir Hill, a 90% or 95% Black neighborhood I lived in. I owned a house there. And this story is of Kamala Harris. What's it say? Well, here, I'll give you some quotes. Black voters are critical constituency in the Democratic primary, especially in the South. Kamala Harris proposes a $100 billion plan for Black home ownership. Democrats are concerned about income and racial inequality in the United States and have long intended to the lasting effects of redlining. Have long pointed, to the lasting effects of redlining. Okay, so there we go again. Income inequality, that is a word out there. You shouldn't be jealous of other people's incomes. You should try to fix your own incomes. But the Democrats want to... They feel, or the politicians in general, want to pay off certain constituencies. So they're going to promise them certain things that they think the constituency will think are good. And let me read you a quote from the Fox story about this, because this elaborates on what this is really all about. Again, a $100 billion plan for Black ownership, tackling racial wealth gap. According to Harris's campaign, she would help 4 million home buyers through down payment and closing cost assistance, granting up to $25,000 from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So what she's going to do is, for Black people who cannot afford a house, she's going to give them $25,000. She's going to print the money or tax people even more, whatever. It's all about the welfare dollar, and people respect the welfare dollar, and that's their business. But $25,000 she's going to give to homeowners so they can make it, so they can qualify. Now, what does that really mean? That means they're going to get a mortgage on a house. She says that increases their wealth. because they will now have a mortgage on a house. This does not increase their wealth at all. This gets them into debt. But it's so ingrained in the nation's psyche, in their brain, like owning a house means wealth. Owning a house means success. Owning a house means we're getting rid of wealth inequality. No, it doesn't mean that. It isn't. For some people who can manage it, it helps, okay? You pay it off as fast as possible. You own this asset that goes up in value. But what she's talking about here is giving people a little bit more money so they can qualify for a loan, or they didn't even have enough money for a down payment. So now they have a down payment. They're going to supposedly own a house. And then what happens? They default. This is a bank bailout, basically. This helps the banks, this plan. This does not help black people. If it was for white people, it wouldn't help them either. It doesn't help anybody by helping them get a mortgage on a house they cannot afford. This is ridiculous. This is totally ridiculous, but it has those feel-good words that everyone, you're going to be a homeowner. This is going to get rid of wealth inequality. Don't worry about other people's wealth. You know, you try to save. Saving makes you wealthy. Saving builds wealth, okay? Not someone giving you money so you can get into debt. That is what this plan is. The taxpayers, the money printing is going to get this $100 billion. Unbelievably expensive. But I mean, again, on that side, Trump might propose something like this too. Again, politicians just want to buy. This is how you buy votes. This is what it has turned into. And in our space, we should be, understand this perfectly, how ridiculous this is. How that is not wealth at all. You know what? This is what you do. You save some money, you buy some Bitcoin, your wealth is in Bitcoin, and God forbid, if you need to sell the Bitcoin, then you sell the Bitcoin, you're back in fiat again, and you can do whatever you want to do. You can't just, with the house, you save some money for that down payment, then the government gives you more money for that down payment, then you pay it off, then the next month you pay your first mortgage payment, and then you have nothing to pay the next mortgage payment. You can't sell the house at that point. You don't own the house at that point. The bank's going to own the house at that point. It's not a liquid asset at all at that point. It's not it becomes the banks again. So you're that much poorer afterwards. This is, again, filled with gimmicks, and this gimmick in the long run, this is a great thing for banks and housing and housing producers and people selling their houses. This is great for them because there's all these unqualified sellers that will buyers, that will be competing. There'll be more and more buyers competing for less for a set amount of houses out there. So again, this is you think, and I hope black people don't. In an old video of mine, I said, they say that big people try to rip on Bitcoin because they say it's for white people, for rich white men. And I said, black people, if you are watching this, when they say something like that, you buy that asset. You get that. You get into Bitcoin. And I hope some black people listen to me. I'm gonna share that video one of these days, soon, because I've been doing those clips on Twitter, TECHBALT. You can see some short clips I've been doing. But yeah, you're better off buying some Bitcoin. That's going to increase your wealth there. How about that? All right, moving on. We're going to do a little politics here. Howard Schultz, who was going to run as an independent and hurt his back and might run as an independent now. And Democrats were worried because he's kind of liberal on social issues, and on economic issues, he's conservative. And if Kamala Harris does get the Democrat nomination, or Elizabeth Warren, and I assume it is going to be one of them at this point, many things could change. He should run. He should definitely, I think he will run, even if his back is totally messed up. Because there are a lot of people out there who don't want these radical economic policies, who don't believe that at all, and who might believe in some of their social justice type of propaganda. And he's into that social, he's into healing the nation, blah, 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 blah. And you say what you want about that kind of stuff. But he is a guy who is a billionaire, who's proud that he's a billionaire. And he says in this article I linked to below, I'm a billionaire. I thought that was the American dream. And some people still believe in that. Some people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, they still believe in that. Hard work, gaining your wealth through hard work, not through special treatment, not through government bailouts, government grants, government $100 billion plans. Some people will be very much turned. Not all Democrats are going to be on board with Kamala Harris, and if they're still talking this talk. There are people in Midwest states who are won't be. They're like, what? $100 billion for black people to buy houses? What's this about? And, that's the least of some of these radical policies that are being. So they will be prone to support a guy like, and he will have a chance to win actually, because there'll be some Republicans who'll be like, oh, wait a second. Maybe I'm tired of, and there's a lot of independents in the country too. So that's something to keep an eye on, this Howard Schultz thing, especially with these Democrats saying some really radical economic policies. I mean, they all raised their hands when they said they would give health insurance to illegal aliens. I mean, that costs a lot of money. Hey, whatever. They can keep on printing that dollar, and we in the Bitcoin world will just laugh at it. Inflation will continue, and people are happy with it. And it will just help our Bitcoin holdings. So pound that like button. Remember, if you got questions, type in Bitcoin Meister. All right. Oh, Frank. Oh God. Frank is listening. He heard me say about real estate. I know he's got something to say here. Frank Castandini in San Francisco said, Bitcoin Meister, famous quote, 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. More money has been made in real estate than all industrial investments combined. Yeah, you can make a lot in real estate, but I mean, you got to be qualified to buy that real estate. You can't. I mean, you can't default after your second payment, after your first payment. I mean, I think you're seeing what I'm talking about here. And because of that statement, because people have become so wealthy through real estate in the past, that is why Kamala Harris can get away with a policy. Everyone believes it, because Ted Turner, owns millions of acres or whatever he owns. That if a black person owns a inner city house, they're going to be as wealthy as Ted Turner's, and it's just not like that. It's not that simple. The guys who got wealthy through real estate didn't. They weren't getting government grants at the very beginning, and they could afford something. They had to say, I mean, there might be able to be some people who played flipping games or whatever, but your quote, again, 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. They weren't big debt fans. Okay. And if they were dealing with debt, it was on a very high level. They had assets already at times. You slowly build up your asset collection. And then you take it to the next level with real estate. Again, real estate isn't. I'm not saying real estate is a bad thing either. I'm saying Bitcoin is better than real estate is what I'm saying. One thing, but going back to what the subject matter was, giving people some government money so they can barely afford real estate is not a good way to get people into real estate, and it is not a way to increase people's wealth because they're going to default. All right. And he says, a wise young man or wage earner of today invests his money in real estate. Andrew Carnegie said that, and that was a long time ago. And there was no Bitcoin then. I would say a wage earner of today should invest in real estate. And again, Frank Castandini, who is from San Francisco, who is very familiar with Kamala, he says Kamala's nuts, but real estate is still one of the best ways. Of course, Bitcoin is the new way. Okay, I think that is fair assessment of it. But you can get into Bitcoin a lot cheaper than you can get into real estate too. And anyone can get into Bitcoin. I mean, if you're in sub-Saharan Africa, you're not going to be able to buy Bitcoin. I mean, you're going to be able to buy Bitcoin if you get on the computer. You're not going to be able to buy real estate. And the other thing that I said before with the Bitcoin, it's liquid. If you need to get back into cash, you can get in real fast. With real estate, you cannot do that if you're mortgaged out. If you have a mortgage on it still, and it's not too easy you just can't sell the house either in 2 seconds. Well, in some markets you can. I guess in your market you can. In San Francisco. All right, moving on. Too much real estate here, but I wanted to answer Frank. He's a good guy. Moving on. We're talking about debt. Let's talk about debt. Again, the Economic Invincibility has this hilarious video about all these young people who are very proud about going into debt for their weddings. There are now loans that are specifically targeting young people, like 7% loans on weddings, just to pay for your wedding. And again, the debt dollar is worshipped. It's not going away. People want to spend on wild stuff. And you need to take out a 7% loan on your wedding, and then you complain that you don't have health insurance, or you want the government to pay for your health insurance. This is the world we're in today. And the video is hilarious. And so many of these dudes, they pay for the wedding and then they get divorced. And he talks about wedding rings also. And again, I got to point to my buddy in South Africa who, instead of buying his woman a wedding ring, he bought her Bitcoin. And that was early on. So that was a really good way of going about things. So some of you who've been watching my shows lately, before July, from the time I left California on July, I had a 90-hour fast. It ended up being 90 hours. So you watched my July 4th interview of Andy Hoffman. Controversial. Pound that like button. And link to below, of course. And you can see I'm totally fine. I'm totally like this, except I'm wearing a different one of these Bitcoin shirts. Again, this dude is linked to below. The shirt guy, I mentioned him before. I just forgot his name. It's linked to below. Yeah, 90-hour fast went real well. I ran during it twice. I ran like, how many times? At least 4 miles. Yeah, because I ran on Sunday before. Yeah. So I ran on Tuesday after I got off the airplane. And no, I ran on, what days did I run on? I can't remember days. What days did I get off the airplane? Yeah, Tuesday I ran, and then Wednesday I ran. Yeah, those are the 2 days I ran. Yeah, that makes sense. So I was pretty well fasted those days, and then it lasted until 4th of July, and I had to do that Andy Hoffman show suddenly. And yeah, I felt great. I even defecated 80 hours into it. So there was still stuff left in. I don't know what was getting out of me at that point. So I mean, people do ask about that. I know that sounds gross, but people have questions about that. And yeah, I feel normal again. And the reason you want to do a 72-hour fast once or twice a year is some people say that it can restart your immune system. So I ended up doing 90. And again, I started it. This is very important too. I took a flight from Los Angeles for Burbank to Baltimore, but it stopped in Phoenix and it stopped in Charlotte. And so why would you eat on a plane? I never eat on a plane. So I did not eat the day that I left. The last time I ate was Sunday night, and then the next time I ate was, a Thursday afternoon, 4th of July. So it ended up being 90 hours. But this is how you can start fasting, people. If you're like, no, I could never do a 24-hour fast. Do you ever do a cross-country flight with 2 layovers? Do you ever do an international flight with a layover? Don't eat at all that day. Don't eat at all. Make it. That's how you start. I was talking to, who was I talking to the other day that was bringing that up? I'll think about that in a second. Anyway, moving on real quick here. So yeah, there's I don't know if anybody has any questions about fasting, but I can answer them right now. But again, those of you who are not familiar, I fast 22 hours a day anyway. I do intermittent fasting. I fast 22 hours every single day. And that means and again, when I do a 90-hour fast, that means all I had was water. Yes, all I had was water. Yes, seriously, that's all. People are like, well, didn't you take any stuff? No, water. It was water. I had water. Again, just to make that clear, I only had water the entire time. That's how you do a real fast. You only have water. That's all you need. I don't understand the other stuff. What was in the water? Water was in the water. Okay. Then Scott Adams. Oh, God. Scott Adams. Video out there. God, I feel, what am I skipping here? I feel like I totally skipped something. Scott Adams had I linked to his channel below. And, oh, no, I didn't skip. There's a good story I want to tell about my dad later and the MVA. So please, people, stay tuned. Don't. I know this show is long, but some people, we're going to get to really good story time. That's all right. So Scott Adams had a video about Antifa where he was saying, oh, it's just like in a martial arts fight, mixed martial arts. And he was playing down Antifa. He sounded real bad. He got so many downvotes. I've never seen something like this in my life. And what he did in the next he erased the video. And again, you can see number 585 is missing. And I think Scott's got some good points. You can learn from stuff from him, but this was his lowest here, man. This is pretty bad. Because he talks about persuasion, and he also complains about how how social media censors people. He doesn't like that. He doesn't complain in the same way certain people do. But so he self-censored himself. He erased the video where he said Antifa wasn't that bad. And he doesn't like manipulation by YouTube, that they manipulate the algorithm, but he is manipulating He's manipulating things in his own way by erasing his video. And I have always said to people, I erase nothing. You got to stand by what you believe, what you said. If it ends up being wrong, then leave it up there. Take it like a man. You know, again, 1 out of 3 people are going to hate you. You got to be able to take criticism. And you learn from that. You're like, you know what? I made a mistake. I can apologize for that. What he did was he erased it. He said he sort of said he was wrong about certain things. And then he starts saying that people who were saying bad things on that video are idiots. But he erased what the people were saying about him. So that's low, man. That's low. You're calling people idiots, but you erased what they said. You erased all their comments. You're saying they're stupid if they didn't get what he said. We can't even see what you said anymore, dude. You erased it. So, I mean, have some self-respect, dude. You said it. Own it, dude. Own it. And that's what I do. I'm not right all the darn time. I've said plenty of wrong things, and I don't erase my videos. And you just have to wonder about people, I mean, that erase their videos. If they're trying to trick you, or maybe they're not as confident as they really are. Again, he's about persuading people. Is that a persuasive thing to do? You take down your video? People are supposed to be then like take your advice on how to persuade people? Yeah, just you say something wrong, run away from it and hide. That doesn't seem persuasive at all. And then insult the people who were critiquing the video, and then no one can see what the people were insulting you about anymore, or what their insults even were, that they were stupid supposedly. Yeah, but on another, and here Frank again says, "Oh, I did a 3-day fast last week. Doing another 3-day start tomorrow. How much time do you put between the longer fast you do?" Oh, well, that's a great question. It varies, you know. I'm going to go on a plane to Israel on Wednesday, so that'll end up being 48 hours or something like that. So, I mean, and then there was that one in Israel for like 5 weeks in a row or 6 weeks in a row. I was doing a 48-hour one every weekend. So is that a long fast? So between 48-hour ones, I can do them really close together. I can do them 5 days apart. I can do them 7 days apart. Yeah, you know. Then the next level, I guess, is 72 hours. How long? Those ones usually are, try over 5 months apart, or I mean, sometimes they're a little closer, 4 months apart, 6 months apart. I try to do 2 a year, and then my record is 120 hours. So once you get to the 72 hour, yeah, okay, that's a good thing. But 72 hours is what they say might restart your immune system. Those ones, I have to put I haven't been known to do them very often. Those are I can look at I think the closest I've ever done is 3 months apart, but I guess I aim to do them 5 or 6 months apart. The 48 hours ones, though, I can do once a week. I did it like 6 weeks in a row or more. I forgot what it was now. And then there was one week in Israel, it was like there were 2 in a week. All right, moving on. And here's something that Scott Adams said that was smart in another video. He says socialism is a centralized government monopoly. And what happens there is you get one bad leader, and it's horrible. The whole, the socialism is supposed to redistribute everything and tax people a certain way to give to the others. And if the setup is bad, you're stuck in it because it's centralized around one entity, one government entity, and it's horrible. You can't leave it. But with true capitalism, it is decentralized, and there's all sorts of people competing, all sorts of different businesses doing things different ways, and the cream will rise to up to the top. The cream of the crop rises to the top in capitalism, and the best ideas will rise to the top. But again, there will be scams out there too. People will get hurt in capitalism. People will get hurt, but you won't be stuck with. Since it's decentralized, since there's so many different ways out there, so many different businesses, so much freedom, you won't get stuck in the socialized, centralized type of system there, the government monopoly that we were just. Anyway, you watch. I didn't link to that video actually. So MVA story. I went to the MVA in the Maryland MVA, Motor Vehicle Administration. In Maryland, and I guess in all the states, we have to have the real ID now. And if your state doesn't have all these, your social security card, all these things they made me bring in to prove that I live in Maryland, I am Adam Meister, that is my social security number, a bunch of other stuff, all these weird documents, correspondences from the government, that have the address that you're supposedly live at and all this. And again, I think it's because the passport should be good enough, but they want licenses to be to prove you're really a citizen, I guess. I don't know. They've given too many licenses to illegals. I don't know what it is. It's your license should be all they really need in the first place, okay? But besides the point, I thought it was going to be a real pain. I didn't even think I was going to do it, but I did it because they extended it to July the 3rd, and I was back in town. So I brought it all in. And I made an appointment at the NBA, and that was key. And I want to give them credit. I don't agree in the NBA. I don't agree in the government controlling all this nonsense. And there's a lot of bad workers there, but it went real smoothly because I had an appointment. It really did. And it was the last possible day to do it. It was hot outside. And I give them credit. I'll give credit where credit is due. And so much of it is computerized now. This is the Reisterstown Road branch, the city branch that used to be at Mondawmin. And I'm bringing this up for a purpose because the Mondawmin one was legendary in how horrible it was. And I'm going to tell you a story about it. And but anyway, it's reincarnation on Reisterstown Road near Northern Parkway, right where my mom grew up on Gist Avenue, right around there. It's run efficiently because a lot of it is computerized. They have it set up a certain way. And if you make an appointment, it's good. And they got a woman with an iPad walking around. And sometimes they mumble things and you don't know what the heck they're saying. But it worked out for me, and it seemed like things were moving along. So the point is, my father used to tell me when I was younger, I guess around the time I got my driver's license and afterwards, he would have to go to for some reason, he had to go to the MVA at Mondawmin, which was legendarily horrible. And he said it was such a sight. The women would just go on lunch break right away. They closed it. It was like on The Simpsons when they close the right away. When you get to the front line, they close it on you. And they go for the lunch break. This was literally happening at the Mondawmin. And there were men in line that were about to break, that were about to go crazy. And my dad was in line for long periods of time. And there were men of all races were getting angry. It wasn't just, and we're not a white and black thing here. Everybody was getting pissed off at these ladies, okay? So my father, he told me the story, and he said, Adam, this is the lesson is 70% of the time you go to the Mondawmin MBA, you feel like you want to kill someone by the time you're out of there. So I took his words of wisdom, and I made it a point to never go to the Mondawmin MBA ever. So I told my friends later in life, I said, my dad told me, never go to the Mondawmin MBA. 70% of the time you want to kill someone. And they're like, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I've been to the Mondawmin MBA, and 70% of the time I've been there, I want to kill someone. And again, these were white friends of mine, black friends of mine, all agreed. But they were all male friends of mine. I just wanted to point that out. All male friends of mine. They were like, and then one of my friends, a black friend of mine, he agreed with me. He said, you want to kill someone 70% of the time that you go to Mondawmin MBA. But he said, Adam, you got to go through it. You got to see it once. No, I will never do it. I will never, ever. He's like, it's an initiation. I never did it. I know I couldn't take it. I mean, if you're going to feel like you want to kill someone at the end of it. Why are you going to put he thought it would be hilarious. No, I never went. And then it moved. But I did it once. I asked a woman that I knew, an overweight woman, about what she thought about the Mondawmin MVA. And she thought it was fine. All right. So moving on. My mother was telling me a story. Well, my father gave to all these charities. We didn't know about these charities that he gave to. And so now they're calling and sending letters, asking for money because he'd given them money in the past. And one of them was a Native American charity. It was a Native American charity. And I was like, oh my God, my dad gave to a Native American charity. And my mom and I kind of smiled because my dad grew up in a time in the 50s where they had those TV shows on. He loved those TV shows that now people look back on and say, oh, that was so racist. The portrayal of the Native American was hard. And again, I respect the Native American. They went through a lot. They were brave. They were good warriors and everything. And it's a shame that they don't have a tolerance for alcohol. It's very sad. It's very sad. Some of the things that have happened. But my dad loved that stuff. He even had he bought some DVD of all these the shows, there's cowboy and Indian shows. He loved kids love that stuff. And now people say, oh, that stuff is so horrible. It painted them in such a bad way. I mean, that inspired my father, and that's what we found out today, that, he loved that stuff so much that he he gave charity. He's not a Native American at all. He gave them charity and stuff. So I mean, you can look. There was a time. It was different times back then. So when people try to go back and say, "Well, why did you like that type of stuff? You were evil. You were terrible." It wasn't all bad. That's the way things were portrayed then. Cowboys and Indians on TV, but it brought some good into this world. It really did. It really did. And my dad, I put for this the thumbnail is a picture of my dad as like a 5-year-old dressed up as an Indian. In a little makeshift suit that his mom, or it's a homemade little thing. And people probably, you'll see that, and maybe I'll get demonetized because of it. But in today's world, they'll say that something like that is horrible. The kids should get a professional, like a stripper costume from the toy store. Because kids dress up as that. That's what society likes today. You dress up as a stripper or something like that. My dad admired that the Native Americans. Kids admired that they played cowboys and Indians. And it was a warrior. It was something to be proud of. Something he was proud of them. He thought they were good people. And in his when he got older, he contributed to them because of that what sparked his interest, watching that stuff on TV that everyone says is so horrible, and that TV was so bad then. I mean, there were morals back then on TV. Again, don't watch TV, people. Nah, but again, there wasn't much to do in the 50s. There wasn't much on TV either then. So it was a different world, and I wanted to point that out there. And that's the picture you see for the thumbnail. That's my father as a 5-year-old dressed up as a Native American. Okay, pound that like button. So health tip of the day, and actually Economic Invincibility brought this up in one of his shows, and I think I brought this up before. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. This is my tooth. It saves you so much money. If you got healthy teeth, you don't have to go to the dentist as much. Some dentists are complete liars and will just do horrible things that they don't need to do. If you're properly taking care of your teeth and you don't have any pain, then you don't have a cavity. Okay. I don't know. I've heard horror stories about, they needed some money, so they give you a filling or whatever. But again, if you don't take care of your teeth, you will start getting pain in your teeth, and you will really need to go to the dentist, and you will have to pay a lot for the horrible when they're drilling in there and stuff. What are those root canals? My father had some root canals. I think my mom has too. My grandmother too, of course, has some root canals. So what you want to do, what I do, I brush my teeth with baking soda, okay? And my dentist has never said since 2014, I brush my teeth with baking soda. Dentist has never said anything to me like, "Oh, Adam, are you not using toothpaste?" Never brought it up to me. Never been a question. He says my gums are great. No cavities or anything. And I floss every day. I brush my teeth three times a day. So this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And you could do it in the morning when you wake up. What I do is I brush it real quick without even any baking soda. Just get this disgusting stuff off it. And then I rinse with water for a while. I used to do something called an oil pool. I don't do that anymore. That's how this ends up being 3 times a day, because that first one really isn't a full one. Then, after I've rinsed and done this and maybe worked out a little bit, and I feel like everything's been loosened up, then I sometimes I wait an hour. I'll brush my teeth for real for 2 minutes. That's all. 2 minutes with the baking soda. Then I go about my day, blah, 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 blah. I eat my one meal, and then I wait an hour. I floss. I use a toothpick, not an actual toothpick, like one of those rubber toothpicky things. And I get all the food out of there, scrape the tongue. I love to use the tongue scraper. And then I brush my teeth for 2 minutes with an electric toothbrush. And I just had to get a new one for the first time, like in 10 years or something. I ordered it for $19.99. Only cost me $19.99, like from eBay or whatever. Oral-B is what I use. And I brush my teeth for 2 minutes with baking soda after the flossing has been done. And then, and again, you wait an hour after you eat, because but you don't want to do it more than 2 hours afterwards. So you do it between an hour and 2 hours after you eat. Or some say a half hour and 2 hours after you eat. But if you wait for a longer period of time, the food already starts to get into the teeth. It can start to do stuff to the enamel, minor stuff. So there is your toothbrush. That's how I do my teeth. and it can really help you, because I mean, in the old days, tooth decay led to death. I mean, it is a serious. It's in your head. You don't want to get an infection in your freaking head. And it saves you a lot of money if you don't have to go to the dentist. I do not go to the dentist twice a year. I go about every 9 months, sometimes more than that, and I don't need to. And the reason I go to the dentist is a professional cleaning will get rid of. Eventually, you do get some little bits of plaque, and they just chip it all off, and you're great. You're good to go. So find yourself an honest dentist too. All right. I think that's it. That's it. That's how I'm going to end it today. Talking about teeth. All right. Any other questions now? I am Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the link section below. Pound that like button. Bang that bell button. Tune back in on a Sunday. And remember, sportsmeister.com has all of my podcasts. All these shows get turned into a podcast form. But Sunday we'll be back. There's a new show here every single day. See you guys in the chat. Bye.